Hi, this is Sherlie Matthews, and you are listening to Retrospectives with John Broughton on KC Radio 97.7 FM.
We'll go through it. Reading your biography on your website, I certainly get the impression that you were just born to sing. Was there anything else that you ever considered as a career path growing up?
Yes, you name it, and I considered it. Just about everything. You know, I just wanted to be, at different times of my life, I wanted to be all kinds of different people. My grandmother asked me once when I was in elementary school, what did I want to be? And I told her an actress. And we didn't have television or, computers or anything back in those days.
Uh-huh.
So there were movies, and I didn't get to go to many of those. And I don't remember why I told her that, but I remember my fourth grade teacher said, if I ever wanted to be anything, he said, you'd make a very good actress, because he had seen me in a school play. Which really didn't resonate with me at the time, because, being that young, But then also I wanted to be a teacher. I ended up doing both. I've done, bit stuff on in acting on stage and screen and stuff like that. And I've done some teaching of children with music especially. I wanted to be a phys ed instructor. That's what I started to study when I went to college. Then changed it to secretarial. Then changed that to sociology and psychology, and that's what I got my first degree in, and became a medical social worker.
Wow. You have done a little bit of everything, haven't you?
Yep.
So, looking back, what would you see as your first major break in your music career?
I looked at the major break. I can just remember what happened. It all kind of happened gradually from the very beginning. The very beginning thing was when I met Frank Wilson. I auditioned to be in a group that he had. It was a gospel group, and I was a church girl from birth. So he introduced me to Motown, and that's what really started it all. And I later signed with them, as a writer, singer, and a producer.
We certainly knew about your history and background as a singer here in Australia when you came here, but we're probably less aware of your songwriting success back home in America. Can you tell us about your development as a songwriter and when you felt you wanted to mature as a songwriter?
Well, I started writing music when I was 10 years old in church. I would set, a text from the Bible to music and teach the children what they called their memory verses every Saturday. And my grandmother, I lived in a duplex right behind her that she owned. She was a music teacher, a piano teacher. She had 2 pianos in her home, and she was my first music teacher. So, and my dad played and sang, my uncle sang. Everybody in my family was musical and very active in the church that I belonged to. So I sort of grew up around music all my life. And then when I got into, Motown and Mirwood, I started writing for their artists, every artist that they had on the label, Motown and Mirwood. And that's where, a lot of my background in songwriting is.
Let's talk a little bit about the time you spent at Motown. Tell us about the work you did there and what would be some of your proudest achievements while being at Motown Records.
Well, at Motown, I had formed a background singing group. We called ourselves the Blackberries, which I named us, after a berry. And we did a lot of background singing, and I also co-wrote a lot of the songs for the Blackberries as a trio with Deke Richards, who was a producer and writer at the time there. And then I also co-produced songs for the Jackson 5 and Diana Ross. Another group. Didn't write all these down. I didn't think. Just about almost everybody who was on the label. We had a little girl named Stacy, who was actually just a beautiful singer, young. I think she was 10 or 11, 12, something like that. She sounded a lot like Michael Jackson. We did a whole album on her, and I think we released a couple of songs and didn't do much of anything. but I did a lot of writing there. I wrote L.A. is My Town, which the Four Tops recorded.
So
Mm-hmm.
how did Motown and Merewood compare for you as labels to work for?
Well, they were totally different, like apples and oranges.
Really?
Motown was a giant. Yeah, Motown was a giant at the time. Merewood was just a kind of a fledgling, offbeat group, company. Even though they had, hits and so forth many off of things that I wrote and produced, they were nowhere near the status and the sound or anything that Motown was producing.
I did read somewhere that you were cheated out of a lot of royalties from your songwriting from those years at Merewood. Did that teach you a harsh lesson about the music business?
No, you know what? At the time, I didn't know I was being cheated. That's how they cheat you. They don't tell you. Motown and Merewood. I didn't find out until years later that they had done that, and they're still cheating as of now. Even the heads of the companies are taking my royalties instead of me. So,
Yeah.
par for the course. The record business is pretty, crooked, as you know.
Do you have a personal favourite recording of one of your songs from those years?
Oh, yeah, I have all the recordings that I've done with them. I have all of them. Everything. I've got them recorded on, I saved them on CDs and stuff like that.
Is there any one of those that means the most to you?
Right off the bat, I'm thinking But I Love You More is a song that I wrote that the Blackberries sang on our album. And the Supremes also recorded that song.
Oh, yeah.
And that was released. Mm-hmm.
Talking about the Blackberries, do you recall the first time you sang together as the Blackberries and how you felt about the sound you created? Was it
I racked my brain and cannot remember the very first time. I do remember that Clyde King and I used to do background with other people at first, and we had a session that we needed a singer, a soprano for, and the person we generally worked for was not available. Clyde suggested Vanetta, who I had never met, and when she came in, that started us.
What about the time you spent working with Steve Marriott and Humble Pie? How do you look back on that time now?
Oh, I love that. That was great. It was a really nice combination of the rock, and the gospel. They were great to work with. But when they got ready to go, I did the sessions. But when they got ready to go on the road, I had, my daughters and very jealous boyfriend, so I didn't leave. Billy Barnum, I let her take my place with Vanetta and Clyde, and I stayed in L.A.
You sang on so many classic recordings that you sang on during that period by some great artists. Do you have any standout recording studio memories?
Oh, boy. My favorite ones were, you mean the people that I sang with. Yeah. Steely Dan, I think, is one of the standouts that I really love working with them.
What about at the other end of the scale? Were there any sessions that were just really difficult or just a nightmare to complete due to people that were just so difficult to work with?
Unfortunately, I don't remember because they weren't that significant, and probably you might not have ever heard of any of them, because most of the people that I worked with were absolutely wonderful in the studio. They gave us, the Blackberries, a lot of liberty on creating our own backgrounds for them. We'd go in maybe 3 and 4 sessions a day, 3 songs per session, and have to make up our own background parts. So whenever we worked with people, it was a joy. It was great.
Did
so
you find
I can't remember anybody any negative things at all.
Did you find during those years of singing on sessions that you developed an ear for identifying a hit? Could you find yourself sensing that a song that you were singing on had that hit potential?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We could tell even before we put the background on if we heard a song, because we'd have to sit and listen to them first. Of course, generally the tracks were done and the lead singer was already on. Occasionally the people would have something for us to sing, but yeah, we could walk in and hear a hit
Yeah.
after a while. Yeah, yeah.
The range of styles of artists that you work with is pretty diverse. Do you think that's one of the major keys to success and survival in music, to be able to diversify and be open to
Oh,
different ranges of styles?
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Because if you can't do that, then you really can't stay in the business very long. Things change, people change, styles change. But when we do a session, we work from one session to the next, and it would be totally different from the one that we did before. It's always been like that.
So that flexibility is really important.
Yeah, yeah.
You mentioned the guys from Steely Dan. They had a reputation for being perfectionists in the studio. Is that how you found them to work with?
Yes, very. But even when they're being perfectionists, they were very wonderful to work with. They knew what they wanted, and if they didn't get it, we'd have to continue singing and getting it on pitch and getting it right exactly what they wanted. But we were accustomed to doing that for not only Steely Dan, but a lot of other people too were like that. But they were standouts when it came to perfectionism.
Tell us the story about how you came to Australia. I gather it was Vanetta Fields that had a fair bit to do with that.
Yeah, it was, because she went over there first. I think she was there a year or so before, and we always talked on the phone anyway after she left, because we were very good friends. She just invited me one time, why don't you come on over to Australia? Da, 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 da. I said, oh, okay. And I just went over. I was going to go over for a few months, stayed 4 years. But I went there with an open mind, I didn't go there with any thinking, oh, this is going to be the place for me. But I ended up, wish I could have stayed there.
Yeah, so there were no particular hopes and plans when you first came here. It was very much, as you say, an open mind.
Yeah, because I was just going to visit, actually. I just thought I was going to visit. But got there and wanted to live.
So, do you recall what your first professional job here in Australia was after you arrived?
Yes, I do. Vanetta was teaching a group of children at a school, like one of those professional schools.
Yep.
And she got another job doing something else, so she gave me that job, and that was my first one.
Fantastic. What about as far as recording sessions or backing vocal work? What would be the first there?
Oh, yeah, I did a lot of those. I don't remember the very first one, but I sang with many, many people there, some of their stars and so forth. And went on stage with them and recorded. I also was in a drama group. I did some commercials myself. I had a group of children that I was teaching there as well. Had them in a drama singing group. Recorded a couple of songs with them. They were called BABE, B-A-B-E.
Oh, yeah.
A couple of them have gone on to be successful on their own right now.
So after your return home to America, I believe you took up computer graphics and animation, studying those fields. Where did your interest in that develop?
Well, my youngest daughter, was interested in the computer graphics and so forth. So she encouraged me, and we both went back to UCLA and studied together. And I took that animation and computer graphics as my major, and I went there for 3 years and got a degree.
Has it been important for you personally to have those different creative outlets away from music?
Absolutely, yeah, because knowing the computer that I do, it complements my music because I'm writing with Pro Tools and and so forth. And I do a lot of digital art on the computer. So that's really helped me, and plus it's just helped to broaden my vista as far, because everything is computerized these days.
So, Shirley, if you were sitting down with someone just starting out on a career in music, what would be the best piece of career advice you think you could give them?
I think the best thing that they could do would be to whatever they want to start out. I don't know, starting out in music, if they want to be a singer, a songwriter, producer, background, lyricist, musician, studio engineer. There's a lot of areas in music that they can start. But the best thing I would think would be to study and hands-on learning from pros, learn about the business end, from the beginning, learn about that business end, because that's something that I didn't do because I didn't know. I was, naive and trusting. Don't sign any contracts without an attorney, and stay independent. Stay independent if possible.
And upcoming plans. What's anything on the horizon, music-wise, you can tell us about?
Yes, I've just uploaded actually a comedy romance ebook with a company called Book Baby. Have you heard of them?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, Book Baby, because they're subsidiary of CD Baby,
Yep.
who I've already produced and released some songs from CD Baby. Right now, I'm working on a 6-song CD to accompany the comedy romance that I just put up. Yeah, I like to write, too. I forgot to tell you about that. I've written 4 novels, but this is the first one, the second one, actually, that I've put out.
Fantastic.
And I finished an album of little gospel songs and so forth, and they're already with CD Baby. But the thing that I'm doing right now, the romance novel is called Half as Much, and that's also the title of the CD with 6 songs that are going to accompany the book.
Lovely. Well, we'll look forward to that.
Mm.
Shirley, thank you so much for taking the time to catch up with us today. Congratulations on a wonderful career, and it sounds like it's still going strongly. You're keeping very busy.
Yeah. Oh, one other thing. Upcoming plans. I had one thing I wanted to do here. I had planned to move from the U.S. to somewhere in Asia.
Really?
Korea. Yeah, Korea, Japan, Thailand, China. Those are among the ones that I'm actually studying and trying to get to now. My oldest daughter is fluent in just Japanese, their culture and everything, so she's a big influence on me. And then I like the music that's coming out of Korea and China. So as soon as I get through my studying that and getting this CD out, going with a book, I think that's going to be my next move.
It's a big move, yeah. Wonderful.
Maybe I'll drop by Australia first and say hi to you on my way.
That would be fantastic. You can rest assured you certainly haven't been forgotten down here, that's for sure.
Yeah. I really appreciate you calling me. This was fun.
No, thanks again, Shirley. It's been an absolute pleasure to catch up with you.
You're welcome.
Okay, all the best. Take care.
You too. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.